sometimes this tendency to want to draw, you know, more excitement from division when the reality is there isn't as much as you would think within the caucus itself. And so, you know, we don't always agree on everything, but we all have respect for each other, and when it comes to things that we need to actually get done, we're able to get there and get it done. HR 1 was one of them that I was really excited about how we got that done this week. Actually, just yesterday, I was able to vote on a historic election protection and you know, campaign finance reform package that every single person, every single Democrat agreed on. And but the reason that ended up passing the way that it did was because the caucus listened to each other. So when one group came and said, oh, hey, I have a issue with the public funds part, okay, let's not do that, because that doesn't really make sense, and let's make sure that we have we're using so when corporations get in trouble, essentially, or they break rules, they have to pay fines. So let's use those dollars, right? So they're not coming from taxpayer dollars. So that was one of the things where it was a kind of a common sense solution, but just had to be heard from each other, and we got that done. One of the other things was protecting Iowa's bipartisan redistricting or nonpartisan redistricting that we've been doing well for years. The way that HR 1 was written, actually, it didn't have, so Iowa wouldn't have been part of what was grandfathered in. And that was a problem, because I thought, well, geez, I grew up going to, you know, grade school, we would talk about this. So I need to fix that, and was able to talk to my colleagues across the country I had to educate them all about, this is why it's important to Iowa, this is why we need to get it done. And they listened, I got the amendment done, and we were able to all be happy with this bill. But that's the type of stuff that's actually happening, but you don't see written about as much. I think the coverage around HR 1, you are seeing that a bit more, but there's just more. It's exciting for folks to talk about how we're divided versus how we actually are united. And again, we're not always going to agree on absolutely everything. What's good for Iowa is not, or what's good for New York or wherever is not necessarily good for Iowa, and my job is to represent Iowans. And so I'm always going to be making sure I'm doing that. I'm not always going to sign on to everything that's out there, because I want to make sure that I'm having real discussions with the folks in Iowa first and talking about what works, what doesn't. And sometimes folks will be like, well, that just means you don't get along. And that's not the case at all. It just means we talk about things differently, and we have different ideas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. We make the next group come in?
Yeah, but I'm glad you asked that question.